Right, so I think that there is this huge thing that you are missing with all this self growth, self development, chasing your goals. And it's probably the most important skill you can have because without it, you're not really going to get anything from all the work that you are trying to do. Now, let me tell you this story. So, I remember when I was 19 years old, and I was already very into self development and into self improvement, and I was ambitious and I was trying to chase goals. And this was a moment for me where I felt like I was making huge progress, like I was on the right path. I was reading books, I was getting courses, I was educating myself, I was doing everything that you hear is going to get you through your goals. And 19 is actually my last year of high school. And I remember that I was already building my business. So I was teaching English to people. And I have been building my business at this time for 3 to 4 years, maybe. Granted, it wasn't officially registered as a company yet because I was still in education. So it was a little bit unofficial, but it was still working. I was still getting some customers. It wasn't crazy. It wasn't anything like it is right now or like it was 1 year ago. But I was already building that. And there was a moment that I remember. I didn't quite catch it at the time when I was moving towards it. So I was preparing for my matura exam, which is the final exam in high school that we have in Poland. And I didn't fully think about it, but there was a decision that I was going to have to make. And the decision was going to be whether I would either let go of my dream of pursuing a business, of starting something of my own, of actually continuing building what I've been building, or whether I would go to university and get a higher education in a certain field. Now, what I want you to remember is that I was already growth oriented. So I was already doing all of the things. And I thought that all of those habits that I was doing were going to get me the life that I wanted. And I wasn't completely wrong, but there was one element that I was missing. And it's the element that I want to teach you about today. So, the element that I'm precisely speaking about is the ability to deal with fear. I want to talk to you about fear today and how fear is this force that is present in our life, and that if you don't properly handle it, if you don't do the proper actions with fear, it's just going to ruin your results and it's going to ruin all the things that you dream about, and it's going to take the life that you want away from you. Now, I remember that going into this, so I wrote my Matura exam, and then I got the results, which were great, and I was happy. Well, they weren't like perfect, but I was satisfied with them. And I remember that I had this two things that I could have done. So first one was I wanted to become a lawyer, and my results were good enough that I could get into law school, go into law for university, or I could continue building my business. Now, when you think about it, the decision seems very difficult to make, actually, because first, I had all the environmental pressure on myself. So everyone around me was asking me the questions whether I want to go to university, what am I going to study, what am I going to do. And they did that because they wanted to know the status that I would have in society, right? Because they wanted to figure out whether I would be higher status than them or lower status than them. If I told them that I was going to study law or medicine, they immediately felt like I was, higher status than them. If I told them that I wasn't, I was immediately lower status. So people just do that because they want to figure out where you stand in the social hierarchy. By the way, in my opinion, you should totally ignore where you stand status-wise. Status games don't make sense. You shouldn't play them if you want to actually get most out of this life. But This was the first element, the difficulty of the decision, and it was the path that most people would have chosen. It was the safe path, definitely, because most people would have gone for university. It was socially accepted, and everybody approved of going to the university, and the pressure was honestly unreal. And I was torn apart. I didn't know which way I should go. And what I was the other path that I was thinking about was something that I've been obsessed with since the first time I learned about it. So since the age of 15, uh, when I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad about rich people and people who have assets and people who don't have assets, and I read about people who are business owners. And from this moment, I had this huge dream of becoming a business owner, of starting something of my own, of providing value to people and having that independence and that ability to just create something wonderful for myself. And I had a lot of tries. I've tried e-commerce, so I tried selling things online. I've tried services for internet marketing for companies. And then one thing that really worked well for me was education, so educating other people. And I started building up my education customer base to the point where actually at this moment I was quite happy with where I was because I was able to go to restaurants sometimes, which was something that I couldn't do when I was younger. I had some money spared, saved. I was able to buy my first car and stuff like that. So there was actually a lot of elements that I got from it. Oh, sorry, this is my dishwasher. I forgot that I was going to be recording today, and I put it on. Hopefully, you don't hear that. You don't hear it that much. Now, what happened was I had these two choices, right? And I knew which choice I wanted to make deep down. Usually, whenever you have a decision, you have this too, probably. You have this loud voice that's screaming at you, that's usually guilty. You feel like it's very heavy in feelings of guilt. And this is just society telling you what you should do or how you should be a good monkey, right? And how you should behave so that like things are good for the tribe. This is the first voice. This is the voice of socially accepted paradigms and truths that they give you. It's the shoulds of society. You should do this. You should be married by this age. You should be able to earn this much. You should be able to get a degree. Whatever shoulds you hear in your head. This is voice number one. Now, voice number two is a little bit deeper. It's a little bit quiet at first, but it's a voice that comes from you, from your heart, from within. And this is actually the authentic you. It's your spirit, it's your creator like substance that's speaking, but it's a little bit quieter because it doesn't know whether you will listen to it, but it's definitely there every time you have a decision that you're about to make. And the thing is, I had these two voices. So I had society shouting at me. You probably can relate to that. You know how sometimes you feel forced to do something. And I had this like quiet voice from my heart that was telling me what I want to do, that was guiding me towards something that I wanted to do. And ultimately, I decided to ignore the fear because the fear was huge. I couldn't sleep at night. I had all of these scenarios that I was running through my head. I had very negative scenarios that were based around me going to zero, being bankrupt, going homeless, and becoming a failure and becoming like the number one person that I didn't want to be like in my life. So it's something that I was really terrified of. So it was because I was taking it really seriously. I didn't want my future family's lives to look like my life when I was younger. I didn't want to have these feelings, experience them to have these feelings or experiences or stuff like that. And it was a heavyweight decision for me. I didn't take it lightly. That's why maybe the element of fear was present. And I had all the usual symptoms of fear that you probably know. You have these looping thoughts, so you think about the same thing all the time, and you cannot stop thinking about. You're just coming back. You have this loop all the time. I had shivers and this feeling like something is about to happen, like something is about to attack me, or someone is about to be mad at me, or something like that. And I was wrestling this way, that way, this way, that way. But what I've ultimately decided to do was to listen to the creator substance, to listen to my heart, not listen to the guilty voice of society, but listen to what my heart was telling me to do, to my authentic self. And the thing is, I remember when I made that decision, when I decided that I am going to do the thing that I want to do. It was so freeing. It just enabled me to be okay with failing because I knew that I was doing what I wanted. So all of the societal pressure didn't really matter to me at the time because I was pursuing my own dreams. Well, there were also other circumstances involved, but I chose the painful path in the short term. Now, what is the most important skill for self growth and self development that I wanted to talk to you about? Well, it's the ability to make decisions despite of fear. You know why? Because even if I did all of those self growth, self development habits, I read books, I meditated, I did whatever else was there, I watched videos, courses, etc. But I didn't have the ability to just stand face to face with my fear and tell it, I'm okay that you are here, but I am going to do this either way because this is more important to me than me feeling afraid. If I didn't have that skill, if I didn't have that power to do this, uh, I think that I wouldn't have achieved my goals. So even if I did all the right things, but I didn't have the power to face my fear and to overcome my fear, that my life would look completely different. And what I want to tell you is, and what I want to teach you today is that number one skill that you need to develop for self development, self growth, is the ability to face your fear and overcome it. And if you can have that ability and you combine it with all the good habits that we talk about, then you're set up for success. But I think that this element is not so easy as we think about it. Well, get some water. Mm. I haven't recorded for a while. You thought I was gone. I'm not gone. I'm here. I'm here all the time. Now, I have notes as well because this episode is highly important for me. I want to give you all the things that are necessary for you to be able to overcome fear in your life and not let fear control you. Now, first thing, we need to define what fear is and why does it happen so that we can actively overcome it and that we can finally take control of it, not let it control us. Now, why does fear exist? Well, because we are evolutionarily risk averse and loss averse. Why? Well, let me explain those two things. First of all, we are risk averse because think about 2,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago. If you heard something in a bush, a sound, some rustling, and you would go there and you would look inside, and let's say that it was a rabbit, you would get one meal. One meal, you would kill the rabbit, you would eat the rabbit. So you are satisfied and you survive for one day. On the other hand, you go to the bush, second situation, you hear the same rustling, and it's a tiger, and it kills you. Bam, you're done. It's over, right? So the reward for taking risk was lower Because if this thing killed you, you're dead, you're done. But if it was something good, you're like, okay, but for a short time. Can you see how that would impact our systems to be more uh, specified, more guided towards avoiding taking risks? Because risk was the downside, the negative side of risk was bigger, and the upside, the positive side of risk, was smaller. Jesus Christ, that dishwasher. Forgive me for this. And I think that in a way where we are taught for thousands of and thousands of years to avoid risk, this stays somewhere in our system. The basic mechanism is there. So the fear that we feel is coming from that system of taking a risk and then being punished for it severely. Because the people who survived, your ancestors, right, the people who are before you in your gene line, I mean, they were risk averse. They didn't like taking risk because risk meant high consequences and a little bit of reward. Second of all, we have a loss aversion, especially for leaving things, stopping doing things, or letting something go. Now, this is also very clearly explained by evolution, by our history, just because think about the moment in the past where someone would say, I don't like being in this tribe. I want to go somewhere alone. What do you think their chances of survival were? Not good, right? If you are alone. I heard this lovely quote that if you introduce one human being into the jungle, you've just introduced prey, right? So we are going to be hunted. But if you introduce 100 human beings into the jungle, you just introduce the apex predator, the best predator the world has ever seen. And I think there is an element of truth to that because cooperation is our strong side. That's why we dominate the world, because we can cooperate and work with one another. So we are taught to be in groups, but because of that loss aversion, because when you were thrown out, when you were abandoned by the tribe, when you were kicked out, basically, you died, right? So also our ancestors are people who didn't take too much risk, who were risk averse because of the negative consequences, and also people who were really who really cared about other people's validation. Because if the tribe validated you, you had friends, you were together, you survived. Now, this is basically how fear works. And I have to tell you that I understand why it's so hard for you and why it's so hard for me. Because overriding instincts that have been developed for 10,000 years of evolution cannot be easy. Like, think about all the programming that we went through in our genes. So it is difficult. Now, with that said, we need to develop that skill. Even though it feels like the hardest thing in the world, we need to develop that skill. The thing about that risk and loss aversion is that modern society, the society that we live in, it's much different from the society of the past. It's not so dangerous and it's not so limited. So in the past, our opportunities were limited. You had a limited number of people in a tribe, in a group. You had a limited number of possible romantic partners. You had a limited number of possible job opportunities because there just weren't that many things to do. And if you did something wrong and the tribe kicks you out, you died. Nowadays, that's not true at all, actually. Modern society is very much different from old society. First, we have leverage. Leverage is the ability to get more things from our efforts, to get more results for our efforts. Why? Well, because we have phones, because we have computers, because we have software, we have tools. So these things enable you and me, we are individuals, to do more things on our own. We are more independent, right? And the food isn't scarce as well, so we don't need to hunt. And overall, we have, as human beings, I think you need to be feel grateful for that, and I feel grateful for that. We have dominated the earth. We made earth our kingdom. The reason I can sit in my beautiful living room and speak to you is because other people have created this environment for me. They dominated the planet. They just basically domesticated the nature, the cold temperatures, and so on. And it's just purely human agency, human power. So, our opportunities, remember this, our opportunities are not limited by location because you don't have to live in the place that you are. So even if you do something and the tribe around you dislikes you, guess what? You just get up and move. You go to live somewhere else. If your location, you aren't limited by that. You can go anywhere in the world right now, and it's fairly easy and fairly simple to travel around, right? You just hop on a flight, hop in the car, you drive somewhere, you're in a different place completely. This is one of the things that traveling teaches you, that the place where you live is not the place where you have to stay forever, and you could technically live somewhere else. Second of all, we are not limited by the tribe, by the social circle that we are in, just because if let's say you do something and the social, like you do something extraordinary and it's good for you, you want to do something out of the box. You want to go and study medicine, or you want to become a business owner. That's the path that I took. You want to start a business, you want to start self-growth. It's very possible that your current group of friends will stop hanging out with you because they will feel bad about whatever you are doing. Guess what? Doesn't mean anything, because you can find a different group of friends. There are so many opportunities for social connection right now. You don't have to be limited by the place where you were born in and your tribe. And the third element is jobs, because in the past there weren't that many things to do. Like you just hunt, you can make clothes, you can cook, but to compare that to the modern world where the space for careers is so untapped, you can basically get paid for being yourself, for being who you are, for being authentic to yourself. And there is no limit on that. You can create your own career. Whether you want to be a model, whether you want to be an entrepreneur, maybe you want to be a content creator, maybe you want to be a lawyer, maybe you want to be a influencer, YouTuber, entertainer, whatever. It's all open. You can be a pro bodybuilder. Like, think about all the possibilities. Engineer, software developer for that. There's so many of them. So even if you fail one career, there is unlimited amount of careers waiting for you, open. And especially if you prioritize yourself, your own self-development, you are going to succeed and excel in any career. So limiting yourself to one choice doesn't really matter, right? And I think that this is the thing that we're missing. So we know what fear is, right? It's this instinct that we've been taught. We know why it originated, and it's a misadaptation right now. It's not bad in any way, but our evolution hasn't yet adapted us to just how modern society functions, right? So we will adapt, but it just takes longer time for evolution. Evolution goes in thousands of years, hundreds of years, not like short periods of like 60 years or 50 years. It doesn't care about periods like that. Now, obviously, I want to give you a reliable way that I have for overcoming fear, and I have 4 steps for that. That I am going to give you. So this part we are going to talk about how to overcome fear, what to actually do to take care of your fear and take control of your fear. Now, first element is just remembering that fear isn't something that's wrong with you. When you feel fear, it's not that there is some malfunction or that there is something wrong with you because you are afraid or something like that. This is a completely fake and wrong pattern of thinking. What actually happens is, as we've described, you have these mechanisms that is designed to protect you from taking risk, from killing yourself, basically, and from endangering your life. This is why fear was designed. This is why it was created. Now, the thing is, you should be grateful for it, because without this mechanism, it's very possible that you would do something bad for yourself. So, whenever you feel fear, first of all, be a little bit grateful for what it does for you, because it's like a natural protector, detector of dangerous situations. And you being afraid means that your detector is working well. So don't try to hide fear, don't try to deny it, don't try to kick it, don't try to just ignore it, because when you ignore it, when you stop acknowledging it, then it's only going to get stronger, because your detector will be like, oh my god, I need to alert this person more. This person doesn't seem to be paying attention to what I'm telling them. So when you hide your fear, when you try to fight it and wrestle with it, it's only going to get louder. You're only going to get more heartbeat, you're only going to get more stressed, you're only going to get more anxious. Now, the thing is, you need to do three things. You need to look your fear in the eye. Then, first, you need to face it, obviously. You need to acknowledge that it's there. You need to look it in the eye, and you need to accept it. You need to say, I see you. It's okay for you to be here. There is nothing wrong with me that you are here. But I am going to do what I want anyway, regardless of fear, because it's important to me. So, what you're doing is you are acknowledging your fear. You are telling your detector system that you hear the worries that it has, you hear the thing that it's trying to alert you about, but you know what you are doing. And even if you fail, it's going to be okay. Now, how to do it logistically, right? Because it's easy for me to tell you, look the fear in the eye and just accept it and so on. What I want you to do is I want you to do an exercise. This exercise is called fear setting. Most people do goal setting. Goal setting is great, but fear setting is even more powerful than goal setting. Here's how it works. I want you to first define, so sit down with a piece of paper. If you want to make a decision, if you feel that you want to pursue something, if you feel like you want to do something that's risky, sit down, take a piece of paper, not in your mind. Unless you do an piece of paper, it doesn't work. Your mind is too jittery, too excited about things. And first, I want you to write number one and write define. So this is, you have your fear. Let's define the worst case scenario. What exactly are you afraid of? Now, for example, when I was making the decision about university versus starting a business, I was afraid of becoming homeless, of having nowhere to go, having no money and no food. So I would write that down. I would write, I am scared that I will go completely bankrupt. I will lose all my money. Nobody will want to help me, and I will not have food. Now, the thing is, this alone, just defining what you're afraid of, is going to make your fear a little bit less powerful. Just because you were going to define the nightmare, so you're taking the fear out of the darkness into the light. And when it goes into the light, you can look at it objectively a little bit. You can just go out of yourself and like, oh, okay, this is what I'm afraid of. Because you know what's happening with fear. Fear is very elusive. It's not as open. It's like you are afraid, but you don't know what you're afraid about always. So just defining it puts it into the light. So you define worst case, nightmare. I want you to go full into the details of what will happen and how that nightmare is going to look. Okay, so we define your fear, number one. Second, I want you to go into prevent. So we had defined for fear, we defined our worst case nightmare scenario. Second is prevent. What can you do to prevent the worst case nightmare scenario from happening? In my case, when I was thinking about starting a business, I thought about, hey, what can I do to make me going homeless less likely? And I thought like the number one thing was spend less money than I earned. So don't take on crazy amounts of debt. Don't go out spending money. Just have a nest egg, have an amount of money that I can fall back on if I fail, right? So this was my prevention tactic number one. Prevention tactic number two for me was figure out a job that you could do that is going to sustain you. And for me, it was I thought about driving Uber, so I would drive people from one place to another if something bad happened, or I would work in some place where I could sell because I was a good salesman. And I thought, well, maybe I can do this, maybe I can do that a little bit. And I knew this is what I'm not going to spend more money than I earn. And I was not going to just stand there, right? Because your brain immediately goes to the point where you can't do anything. But there's like many points along the way where you can do something. So if my business didn't work out, what I would do is I would, of course, keep my spending okay. And then I would just go and earn money just to sustain myself. And I would figure out what to do in the meantime. And in Prevent column, I also wrote learn skills. Because learning new skills is the number one hedge, is the number one protection that you have against going bankrupt. If you have skills, if you have things that you can do, it's very hard to go bankrupt because people are always going to reward you for providing value, for doing something for them. So if you have skills, then your probability of going bankrupt is so much lower just because you can do things for people and they are going to reward you for them, right? It was that simple. Now, so this is column number 2. It already makes us feel much better. So we've defined the fear. We said what things we can do to prevent it. Really simple ones. Don't go too complex. The last one is repair. And repair column is about what you can do if that scenario actually comes true. So if your nightmare scenario becomes reality, what would you do? How exactly would you tackle that? And I just remember just going into the nightmare scenario and thinking, what would I do if that happened? Like if I actually became homeless, zero money, no food, nowhere to go. Well, I would go to a homeless shelter, probably. I would eat some food there, right? Because they give homeless people food. I wouldn't drink any alcohol or anything like that. And I would find a job and I would start building from there. And I would be able to step by step rebuild myself. And I would be able to maybe come back to university if I wanted to, because I had that Matura exam passed, or I could, just start another business. And it made the decision so much easier for me, and it enabled me to take control of my fear. So this is the skill that you've learned today with me, okay? You've learned to take control of your fear by, first of all, understanding what fear is, then understanding where it comes from, and after that, you've learned that modern society isn't as dangerous as the past society. So our fear is a little bit misguided because it's used to high danger. And then you have a 3-step formula for overcoming your fear. You define it. Worst case, nightmare scenario. You take it from the shadows, put it into the light. Second, you write down how you can prevent this scenario in a simple way. And third is you write down repair. So what would you do if this came true? Now, some bonus points. First of all, ask yourself what would be the benefits of a partial attempt or like a partial success. So if you tried something but it wouldn't work out, but what would be the benefits, right? So for me, for example, when I was thinking about it, starting a business, what were the benefits of a partial success of an attempt? And I said, well, the courage that I'm going to get because I went against the tribe, it's going to be so powerful. And the lessons that I am going to learn because I need to actually go fill in the documents, that I need to do the marketing side, that I need to do product creation side, then I need to do talking to people, then I need to do delivery, then I need to do taxes, investments, cash flow. And I thought, wow, if I fail, I will learn so much that I'll actually be better off. Because if I want to do something after that and I fail, I will have all of those skills that I accumulated. So ask yourself, what would be the benefits of a attempt, of a partial success? And next one is, think about the cost of not doing anything. Because very often we think about like, what happens if I do this? What happens if I move to this city? What happens if I buy this apartment? What happens if I buy this car? What happens if I start this business? And we think about the negative. But what we don't think about is, what happens if you don't do this? Because I thought about it and I was like, oh my God, if I don't pursue my dreams, even if I succeed in being a lawyer, I will probably hate myself for the rest of my life, right? Because I would know that I was a coward, that I didn't try, that I didn't do the thing that I wanted, that I was a little monkey listening to what other people had in plans for me. So I just going with that, I felt like I was risking more by not doing the thing that I wanted than doing the thing that I wanted. And these are like two bonus points. And yeah, I think that this is going to be hyper valuable for you. If you're someone who struggles with fear, if you're listening to my channel, you're probably someone who takes life seriously. You want to do big things, you want to be ambitious, but that also can cause you to overthink a lot of things. And it can cause fear to paralyze you in situations. So this is how I deal with this, and now you can deal with this too. I'm back. I've had a little hiatus, a little break, but it was caused by me taking care of business, me doing things in the back so that I can still provide great content for you, teach you great lessons, and there's just more to come. Now, if you've listened this far, please leave a thumbs up on this video on YouTube, rate my podcast on Spotify. 5 stars, obviously. What's the other rating that you could give this type of advice? It's fire. And if you are interested in more, sign up for my Build for More newsletter. It's the first link in the description. More fire to come, and just let's do it together. I was Adrian, and I'll see you in the next one.